Good evening, and welcome to Sleep Sanctuary, where calmness and imagination meet to guide you into a restful sleep. Close your eyes and let your mind drift. Tonight, I'll take you on a journey through an extraordinary winter, a time when the world seemed to pause beneath a blanket of endless snow. It's a story of stillness, mystery, and discovery, and perhaps, as you listen, you might feel yourself carried into that quiet, snow-covered world. Tonight, I want to share a memory of a winter unlike any other. It was a season that defied time itself, when snow fell endlessly, day and night, transforming the familiar world into something unrecognizable. The skies were heavy and grey, as though the clouds could never tire of their labor, and the snowflakes drifted steadily, whispering secrets to the ground below. At first, it was beautiful. The kind of beauty that makes you stop and marvel at the simplicity of it all. The snow muffled every sound, softening even the sharpest edges of life. Streets and rooftops disappeared under the weight of white, and the air felt thick with an almost sacred stillness. I remember standing at my window for hours, watching the snow fall, unable to tear my eyes away from the hypnotic rhythm of it. But as days turned to weeks, the beauty became something else, something unsettling. The snow didn't stop, not even for a moment. It buried everything, swallowing landmarks and erasing paths. The silence, once so comforting, began to feel oppressive, like the world was holding its breath. People stayed indoors, their usual chatter replaced by whispers of unease. It was as if the snowfall had woven a spell over everything, trapping us all in its endless embrace. I found myself restless, unable to shake the feeling that the snow was more than just weather. There was something about it, an energy I couldn't quite name. It wasn't malevolent, but it wasn't innocent either. It felt purposeful, deliberate, as though the snow had a story to tell, if only I could listen closely enough. One night, I decided I couldn't take the waiting anymore. The snow had called to me for too long, and I needed to see it up close. Bundling myself in layers, I stepped outside into the storm. The world greeted me with silence so profound it was almost loud, the kind of quiet that presses against your ears and makes you acutely aware of your own breathing. The snow was deep, far deeper than I had realized, and each step felt like wading through a dream. The air was crisp and sharp, yet there was a strange warmth in the stillness, as though the snow itself was alive, watching, waiting. And so I walked, not knowing where I was going, but certain that I was meant to be out there. The snowfall didn't stop, nor did it grow heavier or lighter. It was as steady as a heartbeat, guiding me deeper into the unknown. Somewhere in the distance, I thought I saw a flicker of light, faint but constant. I knew then that the snow had more to reveal, and I had only just begun to understand its secrets. Take a deep breath and settle into a place of calm. Let the outside world fade as you turn your focus inward. Imagine yourself standing in a vast, snowy landscape. The ground beneath your feet is soft, blanketed by freshly fallen snow, and the air around you is crisp and clean. There's no rush here, no noise, just a profound stillness that seems to echo within you. Feel the cold air as you inhale, refreshing and pure, filling your lungs with clarity. And as you exhale, let go of the weight you've been carrying. Allow it to dissolve into the quiet of the snow, as though the landscape itself is taking your burdens and tucking them gently away beneath its surface. Above you, snowflakes fall lazily from the sky, each one unique, drifting in a graceful, unhurried rhythm. Watch them as they land softly on the ground, vanishing into the endless white. With every flake that falls, feel your own thoughts becoming lighter, quieter, until there is nothing but this serene moment. Now, listen. In the silence, you may begin to notice subtle sounds, the faint crunch of snow beneath your feet, the whisper of the wind weaving through the air, the gentle hush of the falling snow. Each sound is soft, soothing, and reminds you that even in stillness, life continues to flow. Take another deep breath and feel your body relax further. Let the stillness of this snowy world surround you, holding you in its embrace. There is nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go. For now, simply rest in this moment of peace. When you're ready, keep this feeling of calm close as we step deeper into the story. The snow is waiting, and it has more to reveal. The storm greeted me the moment I stepped outside, though it was not the kind of storm that howled or lashed out in fury. No, this was a quiet storm, yet its silence carried a weight that I could feel pressing down on me. The snow fell in steady waves, blanketing the world in white, and for a moment I hesitated. The warmth of home lingered behind me, but the pull of the unknown ahead was undeniable. With a deep breath, I stepped forward, my boots sinking into the thick snow. The air was sharp and cold, but not harsh. It was the kind of cold that wakes you up, makes you feel alive. Each step was a deliberate effort, the snow resisting my every move. The world around me was unrecognizable, as if I'd crossed into another realm. Trees, houses, and even the horizon had been swallowed by the unending snowfall, leaving only a shapeless expanse before me. As I trudged forward, I noticed the sound, or rather, the lack of it. The silence was absolute, save for the faint crunch of my footsteps. It wasn't an absence of sound so much as a presence, like the snow itself was alive, holding its breath, watching me. Time seemed to lose its meaning as I walked. Minutes or hours could have passed, I couldn't tell. The snowflakes fell in endless streams, their delicate patterns mesmerizing, their descent hypnotic. I began to feel as though I were the only person left in the world, the storm wrapping itself around me like a shroud. Then, in the distance, I saw it. A flicker of light, faint but steady, cutting through the snowfall. It was the first sign of life I'd seen, a beacon in the storm. The sight filled me with equal parts hope and unease. Who or what could be out here, in this endless white expanse? I pushed forward, the light becoming clearer with every step. Soon, it revealed itself as a small cabin, its windows glowing with a warm, golden light. The cabin looked old, its wooden walls weathered and worn, but there was something timeless about it. It stood there as if it had always been, untouched by the storm. I approached cautiously, unsure of what I might find. A faint trail of smoke rose from the chimney, curling into the sky and vanishing into the snowfall. Whoever was inside, they were waiting, or so it seemed. Before I could knock, the door creaked open. A figure stepped out, cloaked in layers of thick fabric. Their face was partially hidden, but their eyes met mine, sharp and knowing. They stood there, unmoving, as though they had been expecting me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The storm swirled around us, but the air between us was still. Then, in a voice soft yet commanding, they broke the silence. "You've come far," they said. "But the snow has only just begun to show its purpose." The figure motioned for me to step inside the cabin. Without a word, I followed, brushing the snow from my coat as I crossed the threshold. The warmth of the room enveloped me immediately, a sharp contrast to the storm outside. A fire crackled in a stone hearth, casting flickering shadows across the walls. The cabin was simple, filled with the faint scent of pine and aged wood, but it felt purposeful, as if every object within it had a story to tell. The figure removed their heavy cloak, revealing a face lined with age, though their eyes held an ageless quality, piercing yet calm. They sat at a small wooden table and gestured for me to join them. I hesitated, unsure of what to say, but curiosity drew me forward. "You've come seeking answers," they said, their voice steady and low, as though they were sharing a secret meant only for me. I nodded. "The snow, it hasn't stopped." It feels like it's alive, like it's more than just weather. The corners of their mouth curved into a faint smile. You're more perceptive than most. The snow is alive, in a way. It serves a purpose far greater than you realize. They paused, their gaze drifting to the small window. Snowflakes swirled outside, relentless yet graceful. I am the keeper of this snowfall, they continued. I have been entrusted with its care, its balance. The storm you see is not a natural one, nor is it random. The snow falls because it must, because it protects what lies beneath. I leaned forward, my curiosity sharpening. What is beneath it? The keeper's expression turned grave. Something fragile, something precious. The snow is both a shield and a veil, preserving what cannot yet face the world. Beneath it lies a secret that must not be disturbed until the time is right. Their words left me with more questions than answers. But why now? Why has the snowfall lasted so long? The keeper's gaze returned to me, piercing and intense. Because the world above grows restless. People forget the importance of stillness, of patience. The snow is a reminder, a pause, a barrier against the chaos that threatens to destroy what lies below. It falls until the balance is restored, until the secret is ready to emerge. The weight of their words pressed against me, yet I couldn't help but feel a spark of resistance. But doesn't endless snow trap everything in place? Doesn't it prevent change? The keeper tilted their head, considering my question. Preservation and renewal are not opposites. The snow does not stop time, it protects what is fragile so it may grow strong. Change will come when it is meant to, not a moment sooner. Their words settled over me like the snow outside, heavy and quiet, yet somehow alive. I couldn't decide whether they were wise or simply cryptic. But one thing was clear, the snowfall was no accident, and its keeper was guarding more than just snow. And somehow, I was now part of its story. The keeper's words stayed with me, their meaning unfurling slowly like a thread I couldn't quite grasp. What secret lay buried beneath the endless snowfall? What could be so fragile yet so powerful that it needed this ceaseless storm as its guardian? The questions gnawed at me, and the next morning, after a fitful sleep in the warmth of the cabin, I ventured outside to search for answers. The storm had not eased. Snowflakes fell in their eternal rhythm, and the landscape remained a blank canvas of white. But now, I noticed something I hadn't before. The snow wasn't perfectly uniform. Subtle ridges and dips hinted at shapes buried just beneath the surface. The keeper watched from the doorway, their expression unreadable. "Be careful," they said. "The snow protects, but it does not forget. It will not welcome carelessness." I nodded, though their words unsettled me. Taking slow, deliberate steps, I began to explore. The air felt heavier the farther I wandered from the cabin, as though the snowfall thickened with every step, resisting my intrusion. I pressed on, curiosity driving me forward. Then I heard it, a faint sound carried on the wind. It was not the silence I had grown used to, but something else entirely. A murmur, soft and melodic, like a song sung in a language I couldn't understand. I stopped, straining to hear, and realized the sound wasn't coming from the wind. It was coming from the snow itself. Kneeling down, I brushed the surface with gloved hands. The snow seemed to shimmer faintly, as if alive with some inner light. Beneath the surface, I found a layer of crystalline frost, intricate and impossibly delicate. Through it, I glimpsed shapes, blurred and indistinct, but undeniably there. It was as if the snow held a memory, frozen in place. The song grew louder, wrapping around me, and with it came images in my mind, fleeting impressions of lives lived long ago, of moments of joy, sorrow, and resilience. It was as though the snow carried the echoes of countless stories, preserving them in its endless layers. I called back to the keeper. "What is this? What am I seeing?" They approached slowly, their voice calm but firm. "The snow is a sanctuary, a repository of forgotten dreams and abandoned hopes. It holds the essence of what was left behind, moments too precious to lose, yet too fragile to endure the world above." The revelation struck me like the cold wind. But why bury them? Why not let them be remembered? The keeper sighed, their breath misting in the cold air. Because memory alone is not enough. These fragments are not just stories, they are seeds. And like seeds, they must be protected until they are ready to grow. If unearthed too soon, they would wither and fade. I stood there, staring at the shimmering snow beneath me, feeling both awed and overwhelmed. The snowfall wasn't merely a force of nature, it was a keeper of something far greater. And now I realized its secret wasn't just beneath the snow. It was beneath my own understanding, waiting to take root. The melody in the snow stayed with me as I ventured deeper into the storm, a faint hum that seemed to follow my every step. It wasn't just a sound, it was a presence, wrapping around me like the snowfall itself. The keeper had returned to their cabin, leaving me alone to unravel the mystery. The snow was no longer just snow. It was alive with whispers, soft and fleeting, as though countless voices were speaking just beneath the surface. I knelt again, brushing my hands over the frost-crusted ground, and the whispers grew louder. They weren't words exactly, but emotions, fragments of joy, sorrow, and longing. One whisper stood out among the others, clear and insistent. I leaned closer, the cold biting at my face, and felt the faintest impression of a memory. A child's laughter, bright and unrestrained, echoed somewhere deep in the snow. It was followed by the sound of footsteps running, then fading into silence. The image brought an ache to my chest, though I didn't know why. The snow carried memories that weren't mine, yet they felt deeply familiar. I closed my eyes and let the whispers wash over me, each one a fragment of a story left untold. Suddenly, the air shifted. The storm, steady and relentless, seemed to pause for a moment, as if holding its breath. The whispers grew clearer, forming an unmistakable rhythm. It was no longer a random hum, it was a message directed at me. I stood, scanning the landscape, and noticed the snow drifting in unusual patterns. It swirled in spirals, creating paths that seemed too deliberate to be natural. My pulse quickened as I followed the swirling snow, the whispers guiding my steps. The path led me to a clearing, the storm's intensity easing as I arrived. In the center of the clearing stood a tree, an ancient pine, its branches weighed down by layers of snow. The whispers quieted as I approached, replaced by a deep, resonant stillness. Something about the tree felt sacred, as though it had stood there for centuries, watching over the storm. I reached out, brushing snow from its trunk, and felt a warmth radiating from the bark. Beneath my fingertips, faint grooves formed a pattern, symbols or markings I couldn't decipher. The keeper's words echoed in my mind, "The snow protects what cannot yet face the world." I realized this tree, too, was part of the secret. It was the heart of the snowfall, its roots extending deep into the earth, anchoring the storm in place. The whispers returned, faint but clear, urging me to listen. I closed my eyes, and in the silence, I felt their meaning. The snow wasn't just preserving the past, it was calling for renewal. The voices weren't trapped, they were waiting, gathering strength for a time when they could rise again. When I opened my eyes, the storm began to swirl once more. The whispers faded into the wind, leaving me with a single thought: the snowfall wasn't just protecting something fragile, it was preparing for something greater. I stood in the clearing, staring at the ancient tree, the whispers still echoing faintly in my mind. The storm swirled around me again, yet here, in this place, there was a profound stillness. It felt as though the snow itself was waiting for me, for a decision, for something I had yet to understand. The keeper appeared suddenly, their figure emerging from the swirling white like a shadow brought to life. They walked with deliberate steps, their face solemn, as though they already knew the question forming in my mind. "You've seen what lies beneath," they said, their voice calm but heavy with meaning. "You've felt the echoes, the dreams, and the memories buried in the snow. Now you must decide." "Decide what?" I asked, though a part of me already knew. "The snow has fallen long enough," they said. "It can continue to protect, to preserve what lies beneath, but it cannot do so forever. If it falls endlessly, what is buried will never rise. But if it stops too soon, the fragile balance will be broken, and all that has been sheltered will be lost to the chaos above." I stared at them, my breath catching in the cold air. "And you're asking me to decide whether the snow stops or continues?" They nodded. "The choice is yours. You are not here by accident. The snowfall called to you, and the echoes within it recognized something in you, a connection to the very balance it preserves. You must decide when it is time for the snow to rest." I felt the weight of their words settle on me like the snow itself. My thoughts raced. What if I chose wrong? What if I stopped the snowfall too soon, and everything beneath it was destroyed? Or what if I allowed it to fall endlessly, trapping the fragile seeds of hope and renewal in eternal stillness? "Why me?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Why not you? You've been its keeper for so long." The keeper's eyes softened, a rare flicker of vulnerability in their ancient gaze. "Because my role was never to choose. I have tended the snow, protected its purpose, but I am not the one it has been waiting for. It must be someone who understands both the weight of preservation and the necessity of change. Someone who has walked into the storm and listened." The whispers in the snow returned, faint and insistent, as though urging me toward an answer. I closed my eyes, letting the cold air fill my lungs, and allowed myself to feel, truly feel, the weight of the snowfall, the stillness it brought, and the promise it carried. I thought of the tree in the clearing, its roots buried deep, its markings like a map of forgotten stories. I thought of the lives preserved in the snow, waiting to rise again. And I thought of the balance, the delicate line between holding on and letting go. When I opened my eyes, The keeper was watching me, their expression unreadable. "You've made your choice," they said softly. I nodded, though my voice felt far away. "Yes, I have." The storm began to change the moment I spoke the words. It wasn't abrupt, no sudden silence, no shocking shift in the air, but rather a subtle softening. The endless cascade of snowflakes thinned, and the howling winds fell into a gentle murmur. The snowfall, relentless for so long, seemed to sigh in relief, as though it had been waiting for this moment too. The keeper stood beside me, their expression calm yet solemn. "The snow will fade now," they said, "but what lies beneath will need time. The thaw is not a single moment, it is a process, delicate and deliberate. Trust it." I nodded, though my heart felt heavy. I had made the choice to stop the snowfall, but part of me wondered if I was ready for what would follow. What if the world wasn't prepared for the secret the snow had protected for so long? What if the fragile balance I had tried to honor unraveled anyway? The keeper must have sensed my unease. "This is not the end," they said. "It is only a beginning." The snow's purpose was to preserve, not to trap. Now, the world must decide what to do with what it has been given. As we stood there, the first rays of sunlight broke through the heavy clouds, their golden light spilling across the white expanse. It was as if the storm itself was dissolving, retreating into the horizon. The snow beneath my feet began to glisten and soften, its icy grip loosening as the warmth of the sun touched it. And then I saw it, tiny shoots of green piercing through the melting snow. They were fragile yet vibrant, a stark contrast to the endless white that had surrounded me for so long. The sight filled me with a strange mix of awe and hope. Beneath all that snow, life had been waiting, gathering strength. The whispers in the snow faded as the thaw continued, their voices replaced by something new, the sound of water trickling in small rivulets, carrying the snow's memory back to the earth. It was a quiet symphony, the promise of renewal woven into every drop. The keeper turned to me, their face softened by the light of the rising sun. "You've done what was needed. The snowfall has fulfilled its purpose. Now, the secret beneath will have a chance to grow." "What happens to you now?" I asked. They smiled faintly, their gaze fixed on the horizon. "My time as the keeper is over. The storm has passed, and my role is no longer needed. But the snow story, and yours, is far from finished." I watched as they began to walk away, their figure dissolving into the thawing landscape. Alone, I stood in the clearing, tree at its center now bathed in sunlight. Its branches, once heavy with snow, stretched skyward, droplets of melted frost sparkling like stars. The thaw continued around me, the world waking from its long slumber. And as I turned to leave, I carried the promise of what lay beneath, the delicate balance of preservation and renewal, and the quiet understanding that even the harshest storms are not forever.